Hi, Run Your Story family. This is Allison Gilliard with Run Your Story, where every story needs to be heard. And what an incredible treat we have with the Mr. Kit Ekman, who, wow, all I can say is he was literally born to run. Like, absolutely phenomenal. It's in his DNA, it runs deep into his vein. You guys are going to love his story, and so much explains about his community mindset. And he is also going to share about how downtown United by Beer runners came to be. And it's so fun, and what a great heart he has, and just a really fun dude. And so, Kit, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you for making our running community better. Thank you for having the heart that you have, and keep hitting the pavement, friend. You are doing incredible things. This was such an honor. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us and your heart for this community. And just keep rocking those runs, my friend. And thank you so much to our podcast partners for this month. Fueling us up is Pack Training and Spring Hill Boot Camp. Guys, these two gyms are changing my life. They are absolutely incredible. If you're local, definitely check them out. On Saturdays, there's open workouts. They are trying to do things that are specifically for runners for these workouts, and I really appreciate that. I can tell you, I feel better on the pavement. They are building my confidence. I love the coaches. I give them so much grief, but honestly, the coaches, they care about you. They're absolutely amazing. Our own Emily Bullock, who's been on the podcast, she's a part of the fantastic coaching staff. And so definitely check them out. Pack Training for personalized strength training. And I cannot wait to see how all of that comes out and they make me stronger. Guys, they understand the importance of the strength training. They understand the importance of making us more efficient and faster and to have endurance. And so that's what it's all about. Combine that with Spring Hill Boot Camp, which is about high intensity cardio. They throw in strength training days as well. Guys, it's a winning combo. So if you have any questions, reach out to them on social media, but I 100% love them. They are absolutely great. Josh and Allie have done a fantastic job of building two amazing gyms that complement each other so very well, and I'm excited to be a part of it. We are excited that these two gyms, Pack Training and Spring Hill Boot Camp, are the official gyms of Run Your Story. And so we absolutely love them, and we love what they're doing, and we love what they're doing with this running community, and just incredibly grateful for what they're doing for me. So definitely go check them out. Definitely tell them that, hey, thanks for supporting Run Your Story and believing in this community. All right, guys, get ready, get set, and go run with our friend Kit and his run story. Yay, kids!
Hey, Allison.
So exciting.
Finally.
We're talking about this for a while.
Months and months.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Here we are. I'm so excited because obviously I follow you on social media. You're part of an amazing running group. But I literally know nothing about you, Kit.
Okay.
So I'm so pumped to know what your run story is.
I would love to tell you my run story. We got to take it back to the beginning. So I was born into a running family.
Ooh, okay.
I was a child of the 70s, and both of my parents were marathon runners.
Whoa.
This was before Gym Fix. This was before the running craze. This was before all of that. So my parents were very much pioneers, particularly my mother. My mother was incredibly fast. She's in her 80s and she walks 9 miles a day.
Stop it.
She's
What?
amazing. She is an inspiration.
Wow.
But she was a very fast, very good runner at a time when really there was no running craze, and women especially were not running. And she was just out there doing it. Dad was in the Air Force, so we were moving all over the country, all over the world. Didn't matter where we were. She ran. So some of my earliest childhood memories are, sitting around at the finish line of a race, of a marathon, waiting for them to finish. So I was literally born into running.
Wow.
I remember on weekend mornings in the kitchen after my parents would run, this was back in the days before there were good shoes. And so they would take their running shoes and they would have the shoe glue and they would be gluing their shoes back together again.
Get
so
out of here.
The next day. It was totally different from a footwear standpoint than it is today. But they were very dedicated. They were very committed. So it's no surprise that two of my siblings and I both kind of took up running and have run our whole lives. It's one of the best gifts they could have given us.
Have you guys done a race like as a family?
Not in a long time.
Okay.
Not in a very long time. We're kind of scattered all over the world.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's difficult, but I've run marathons with my brother. I've done races with my sister. So definitely a family event. My first 5K was when I was 7 years old. I know this because somebody wrote a story for the newspaper about it, and I was last. Mom didn't go with me or anything. She just, like, here you go, son. And I got lost, and it was very traumatic, but I finished. I did it. So I've been kind of running ever since. And then in running, I didn't become a serious runner until high school. All the smart kids were on track and cross country team in high school. So I didn't do that.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to be stereotyped, lumped in with the smart kids. So I joined the wrestling team instead. And interestingly, that is what drove me to running, because to be on the wrestling team, you're constantly having to make weight. You're having to cut weight in order to make weight for your matches, and running is a great way to lose weight, to get down to where you could make weight on match night. So I was running all the time, and it didn't take me too long to figure out. I didn't say I was one of the smart kids. It didn't take me too long to figure out that I liked the running a lot more than I liked the wrestling. So I never did join the track team or the cross country team, but running is what I took away from that. And then I went off to college and law school in Boston, which is one of the great cities in the world to run. I've spent many years running along the Charles River through Boston and Cambridge, all manner of weather, hot, cold, ice, snow, whatever. I was out there running in it. And that in turn led me to the Boston Marathon. Wow. So I got into marathons after that. Ran the Boston Marathon 9 years in a row. The first couple of times as a bandit, which they won't let you do now, but back then they would.
Okay.
So I would just get a ride out to Hopkinton, 26 miles away from Boston, and then just kind of jump in and run. And they would give me water, and they'd give me a medal at the end, and they'd treat me like a real runner, even though I wasn't. But that was the only way I could do it, because I didn't have a qualifying time. So finally I realized, all right, I better go get a qualifying time. So I went and did the Marine Corps Marathon in DC, got my qualifying time from there, and then used Boston to qualify for Boston year after year for 9 years. And that was an experience. That's something that I miss. I haven't done that one in a long time. Ended up doing a few dozen marathons, and then realized I was getting to a point I was doing 3-4 marathons a year, something like that. And then I got to a point where, I was at an age where I was not getting faster, let's say that. And I was definitely getting slower, and I was feeling less motivated about racing. So I took a step back from that and just started running for me. I was a 30, 40 mile a week runner, just on my own, no racing, not part of any group, any community, anything. And I was content at that. Did that for a number of years. And then I got the 1-2 whammy of a divorce and a pandemic. And running was kind of my solace and my salvation during that time. So I went from being a 30 to 40 mile a week runner to being a 60, 70 mile a week runner. Okay. Through the pandemic years, I was running more than 3,000 miles a year. Wow. There was one stretch where I did 10 or more miles a day for something like 70 days in a row.
What?
I mean, running, I just poured all of my pandemic energy into running. And then the pandemic started to abate. It started to end. And I suddenly felt this real desire to build community somehow. And I didn't know how to do it. So I thought about, all right, well, what are the things that I'm good at? All right, well, I'm pretty good at running, and I'm pretty good at drinking beer. So if we put those two things together, maybe I could start a running club. And I didn't know anything about how to do that or what that would entail. But I spoke with the owner of Serta Brewing. At that time, it was called Serta Brewing. It doesn't exist anymore in downtown. And John Serta, he was very much game for the idea of having a weekly running club. And I figured, we'll do this for a few weeks, maybe a couple months. It'll be me and my two friends, and then it'll flop, and that'll be the end of that. We committed to do it for a summer. And he committed to do it for a summer. 4 weeks in, he sold the brewery. And at that time, it really was kind of me and my 4 friends who were doing it. It got off to a very slow start, but he sold the brewery, and all right, that's it. Running club's over. There goes that dream. Except that I was not willing to let go of that dream. And I felt like I was letting down those 4 people, some of whom I didn't even know, that had just started coming to running club. And I thought, well, I owe it to them, and I kind of owe it to myself to see if there is a way to keep it going in some way. So I put something on my Facebook page that night that said, I don't know how, but somehow running club is going to continue. And I just put that positive energy out into the universe to see what, if anything, the universe would come back with. The next morning, I received a text from somebody at Braided River Brewing saying, why don't you come by after work today and let's talk about your running club.
Wow.
So we didn't miss a single week. We just transferred right from Serta's over to Braided River. Braided River put their marketing muscle, their social media savvy behind it. I also had an enormous amount of help from Fleet Feet, from Micaiah and Marjorie Rockwell, who own Fleet Feet Mobile and Fleet Feet Pensacola. They gave me a lot of support. They gave me prizes to give away. They helped me make t-shirts for the running club, all that kind of stuff. And now here we are 3.5 going on 4 years later, and there are 800 and something members of the running club Facebook page. In the height of the summer months, and I don't know why more people come out in the summer months when it's so hot to run in Mobile, but in the height of the summer months, we'll get 70 or 80 people, and even through the winter, like last night was Thursday night, we had 25 last night, which is respectable for January the 2nd.
Sure.
And so we keep it going, and it is a community. And I'm so proud of that, and I'm so happy about that, and I look forward to it every week. And there are fast runners and slow runners and walkers, and we celebrate the 6-minute milers the same way that we do the people who say, man, I just did my first 15-minute mile. And like, what a triumph, what a victory. And so there is nothing competitive about it. It's all just mutually supportive and wonderful and fun. So that's a very long-winded take on my running story, but that's how I got here.
I love that so much. And I can vouch that you are such an encouraging person on social media, because while I think I've been to one, maybe not since the podcast, but before the podcast started, but just the things that get posted in the Facebook group and just the encouragement that takes place, I think is just so fun. And then you guys did like a Halloween, like come dressed up and run and stuff.
We did.
And
everybody was in costumes. I went as Forrest Gump because somebody had to.
Somebody, of course. Why not? So I was like, this is so cool. Like, it's so fun that you were like, you know what runners love best? To hit the pavement, drink beer, and socialize. Like, that's running in a nutshell. And you did that.
Yes, I want it to be fun. I want it to be social, but I also want to help people meet their goals. And for so many people, having that community gives them a great incentive to get out there.
Oh, absolutely.
And do it.
Yeah.
And particularly this time of year, when it's dark, when it's colder, people need extra motivation. And you worry about safety, particularly women running out by themselves. We're running in a pack. We're all together. We're looking after each other, and we're all keeping each other safe out there.
Oh, it's so good. So good. Kit, you obviously being born into running, and obviously it's in your DNA. What are some lessons that you've learned from running?
Oh, I have learned so many lessons from running. I have learned about persistence. I have learned about self-confidence. It gave me self-confidence when I had none. I have learned, this is something that my mother has always taught me, was that when you're down, when you're emotionally down, when life's kind of kicking you in the teeth a little bit, go for a run. My mother always says you can't feel bad and feel good at the same time, and running makes you feel good with those endorphins and just that feeling. Runners understand what I'm talking about. You get that feeling, you can't feel bad and feel good at the same time. So running, it is just such an anchor of positivity in my life with whatever I'm going through. And you heard from the story, it's been a lot of different things to me at different points over the years, over my life, but it has always been there. And it has taught me the value of consistency, the value of persistence, the value of that routine of just whatever else is going on in your life. You wake up in the morning, even if you don't feel like it, and you lace up those shoes and you get out there and you go do it. And then you're going to feel better, and it's going to set the tone for the whole day.
That's right.
So there are many things in life that we cannot control, but running is something that most of the time, except when we're injured or something, most of the time we can control. And it's something we can do to make ourselves feel better and to make life better on a daily basis. And it means everything to me.
Oh, such a good lesson.
So running lessons.
Yeah, very good. I got to know, with all the marathons you've done and races, do you have a favorite race that you like? That you're like, oh, that's just my favorite race?
It would have to be the Boston Marathon, just because there is nothing else in the world like it. I've done lots of marathons in different places all over the country. Just in the U.S., I haven't done any overseas or anything. And while there are many that I love, the Boston Marathon is just, it's really, really special. There is something about that. You drive out to Hopkinton, 26 miles from the city, and you run in, and it's a holiday. It's Patriots Day. It's a Monday, but it's a holiday. It's a state holiday in Massachusetts. People aren't at work. They are out lining the streets the whole way. They're making noise the whole way. And back when I was doing it was when they would publish the day before the run, or maybe the morning of the run, they would publish in the newspaper a list of all the runners' names and their numbers. And you would be running down the street, and there would be people with binoculars looking, and they would see your number, and you would get to them, and they'd be, "That's the way to go, Ekman," and they would call out your name.
What?
It definitely set the bar very high for fans, for running fans, for supporters of marathons. And just to be there and to have that feeling. And then at the halfway point, you run by Wellesley, which is the women's college. And that, for a young man, that was quite an experience in its own right. You hear them before you see them. But that's fun. And then as you get closer to the city, you get to Heartbreak Hill. And that is traumatic, although I was telling somebody the other day, the fire station hill that we have out in Spring Hill is worse than Heartbreak Hill ever was. And the next thing you know, you're in downtown and you're finishing at the Boston Public Library and you just get goosebumps in the moment. So I've done a lot of races that I love, but Boston's very special.
Oh my goodness. Do you think you'll ever go back and do Boston?
I must.
Okay.
I must.
Okay.
For sure I will.
Okay.
I haven't made any definite plans, but I will.
Okay.
I haven't done any marathons in a while. I've done a good number of half marathons, and I've gotten into helping pacing ultra marathoners.
Whoa. Okay.
I don't want to. I've got a couple of buddies who are ultra marathoners. I don't want to do an ultra marathon myself, but I've done the last 50 miles of an ultra marathon with them, and that is an experience in its own right.
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
But all that is to say, I haven't really been in marathon mode in some time, but I know when the time's right, I'll come back to it.
Okay. Let's talk about routines because especially for people that are listening that are maybe new or it's a new year. And so people are toying with what works, doesn't work, trying new things. What does your pre-race routine look like?
For me, and this is probably heresy to a lot of people, I roll out of bed, I put on my shoes, and I go.
Ooh,
Sometimes I drink a glass of water, sometimes I don't even do that. I know I'm supposed to stretch. I know stretching is very important. I don't stretch. I get up and go, and it works for me. I will stretch afterwards as part of the cool down after the run. But I've been lucky, knock on wood, not to be injured often in my running career. But a couple of the times that I have gotten injured, it was because I was stretching wrong. So I said, well, I'm going to fix that. I'm just not going to stretch. And I don't miss it.
Okay.
It works. So my pre-race routine is I wake up when the alarm goes off, I put my feet on the floor, I get dressed, and I go run.
Wow.
Simple as that.
Okay. All right. You cross the finish line. You get the goosebumps. You're done. What does your post-race routine look like?
A whole lot of hydration.
Okay.
I'm really big into hydration. I will do some light stretching after the run.
Okay.
I think that's important. That makes a big difference, but I am mostly all about the hydration. And I don't do the sports drinks or anything like that. It's just straight water, straight water.
Okay.
And if it's a longer race, then I'll want some soup or like a banana or something like that. But mostly just hydration.
Okay. Cool. Is there a running item that you're like, I will not go run without X?
I run with music most of the time.
Okay.
Not when I'm out with running club,
Okay.
because running club's meant to be social, but 90% of my runs, I'm out there by myself, and so I will always have music. And I don't do it through my phone. I have a little MP3 player, kind of an old school MP3 player.
They still make those?
They still make those.
Okay.
And you can get them on Amazon for $20 or $30. And what I love about them is I can sweat through them and destroy them, and I've only lost $20 or $30.
Yeah, okay.
And I'll have 1,000, 1,500 songs, something like that, and just put it on shuffle, and away I go. So that is, except when I'm running socially, except like at a running club thing, I will always have that with me.
So what is Kit's music? What's on the MP3 player?
You would not guess it from looking at me, but I'm very much a heavy metal guy, old school, traditional heavy metal.
Get out of here! Okay.
So it's a lot of loud guitars and fast tempos and high energy, and that's what gets me going. And if you'll see me, sometimes you will see me singing along as I'm running down the road, just oblivious to everything. People will say that they saw me, and they're like, oh, you were pumping your fist, and you were mouthing the words, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't see you at all. I'm sorry, I was just kind of in the zone. But it feels good, so I go with it.
That's awesome. You're like, I was at a concert. Yeah, I was like going, that's fantastic.
Just completely wrapped up in the moment of that and oblivious to everything else. I mean, paying attention enough to where the cars are and making sure I don't get hit, but other than that, just oblivious to everything. And I've had friends say that I run right past them and I didn't see them. I could run right past my mother and probably did not see her because I'm just so in that mindset, in that mental place.
You're at the concert.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Kit, that's fantastic.
It works for me. Good. I don't know that I recommend it for others, but it's great for me.
Let's talk running shoes.
Yes.
What do you like to run in?
I am very much a creature of habit with running shoes.
Okay. I'm shocked by this.
I have been running with Brooks Adrenaline and Glycerin.
Okay.
The two models for, probably at least 10 years. Gotta be longer than that. And I say I'm a creature of habit, but right now I am just finishing up having run through a pair of On Clouds. Fleet Feet asked me to try them.
Okay.
Apparently, since I lead a running club, people care what I wear, which is bizarre to me because I don't care what I wear. But and the On Cloud rep was like, here's a pair of On Clouds, and they're expensive shoes. I'm like, well, okay. And the first couple of times that I ran with them, I didn't like them. I felt like they were forcing me to alter my stride and my gait because they're so much thicker than regular running shoes. But I got used to them and I thought they were great. I would run with them again, but I missed my Brooks, so I think I'm gonna go back to Brooks.
Okay.
At least for now. And maybe I'll alternate. I don't know.
Okay. Do you have one that you like for shorter distance versus longer distance? Or do you just alternate them?
I don't. I just alternate.
Okay. All right. For longer runs, do you fuel along the way?
I will.
Okay.
I will.
What do you like to fuel with?
I'll do the gels.
Okay.
I've had good luck with gels, and they're different brands and different flavors, and it's kind of everybody's got what works for them and what fits on their stomach. And I've tried a bunch of different things, but for a long run, I will do a goo or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've already talked about Boston and how special Boston is. And you've talked about family and running and all this. Do you have a memory with running that you're like, that is such a special memory?
Oh, why, as you say that, just a whole bunch of things going in my head. We may need to pause here and do a little edit. Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick one, it would be the feeling the first time that I paced an ultramarathon friend for 50 miles. That was something that I did not know that I was capable of doing. So he had already done the first 50, and this was out in the woods in North Carolina. So he had been running since early that morning. Now it was night, and my job was to run him through the night all along this very poorly marked course with very few volunteers and very few people. And there were stream crossings, and there was mud, and there were rocks, and you got this and it's not well lit. I mean, there is no light, so you've got this headlamp, and you're trying to look down and see where you're stepping, and you're trying to take care of your friend who's getting delusional because it's the middle of the night. He was seeing snakes on the ground that weren't there, and then the fog rolled in, and then the visibility dropped to 0, and it's 2 a.m, it's 3 a.m, it's 4 a.m, we're still out there, we're still going, and that feeling, like as the sun was coming up, and we were doing those last couple miles, and I realized, all right, we're going to make it. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever done from a running standpoint. I can't imagine what it was like for him, because again, I was just doing the second half of it. And so that feeling of getting him to the finish line, and what made it extra special was it wasn't so much about me. It wasn't that I had accomplished anything, although for me, obviously, I'd never run 50 miles in my life before. And I thought, wow, I'm impressed with myself that I was able to do that. And I'm impressed that I was able to keep it together and be there for my friend. But it was kind of more about him and kind of helping him meet his goal and to achieve. And I just get warm and tingly thinking about it right now. That was a time where I was able to really be there as a friend for somebody who needed it. I think without me, he wouldn't have finished that night.
Sure.
He would have been attacked by the snakes.
Listen, I've done one trail run at night, and I said I would never do that again because it's mentally you're in a different state. And that was me all day long. Like you had the headlamp and I had the vest, and I was like, that rock looks like that stick looks like a snake, and you're just. I think your brain can't ever turn off because you're so heightened. So. I learned a friend would have been great to have. So that's awesome. That's such a great story.
It's great that they do allow pacers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And different races have different rules about it. Like sometimes it'll be, we'll allow a pacer for the last 25 or the last 30 or the last 50. And I get all of that. And as a pacer, I am not wanting to use resources for the runners. I'm not wanting to give unfair aid to a runner. So of course I couldn't carry any of his things. There are all these rules that go along with being a pacer, and I wanted to be very respectful of that.
Sure.
But at the same time, I was able to be there and I was able to help him. And that's something that I'll never forget, and I don't think he will either.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. That's so cool. Is there something for your long distance runs that you're like, man, I cannot wait to finish so I can eat this?
I do get weird cravings sometimes.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not really a food guy. I'm not really interested in food in general, but there are times when I'm running that if I'm doing a long run in the summer, a lot of times it's ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
When I finish, I'm going to have a Klondike bar. And, something like that. Just something random and off the wall like that. And on a longer run in the winter, it usually involves all right, I'm going to need to warm up. On a really cold run like this, and we don't get many of those cold days in Mobile, but on those cold Boston runs, be like, all right, I can't wait to get home so I can make a nice bowl of soup.
Oh, yeah.
And just warm up from the inside out.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. That's good. Hey, that
works for me.
I like I have weird. I really don't think it's a weird cat.
Really? I don't know. I don't know how people are about that.
Let's talk recovery. Recovery is so important, and you've also mentioned injuries. So, do you have a favorite recovery tool that you like to use?
I have discovered one in the last couple of years, actually through Running Club and Fleet Feet. Sometimes Fleet Feet will make arrangements with different vendors to have them come and bring their products to Running Club and let people try them out. A lot of times it's a shoe manufacturer, but one time we had I think it's UFOs is the name of them.
Okay.
They make recovery sandals. And I never knew how much I needed those until I tried them on after Running Club that night. And they're not that expensive. I think the pair that I got was $50 or $60.
Yeah.
And if it's not a work day, if I'm not having to go right from my run into my work clothes and go to the office, if I'm just going to be home for a while after I run, I immediately take off the running shoes, put on the UFOs, and and my feet are so appreciative.
That's a good answer. I like that. That's really good.
Those are wonderful.
When you're not running, do you do any cross training?
I will do the recumbent bike. I'll do like a Peloton, something like that. And I resent it in some ways because no matter how hard you pedal, you're not going anywhere.
Right. And then they're like, oh, just turn it up 2 more. And you're like, I don't want to.
And I won't do a treadmill for that reason. But I realize, especially with getting older, it is good to do workouts that are not such high impact. And so to be able to have a recumbent bike or a Peloton or something like that, it's a great form of cross training. And I'll do it. I don't enjoy it nearly as much as running, but I know it's important to do, so I do.
Absolutely. Okay. Good to know. So running is not always about the successful moments. Sometimes we have moments where we're like, that was not a good race. Do you have a race that you're like, ooh, if I could go back and redo that? Or I don't think I'll ever do that one again.
Not so much. I mean, I have had bad races. Everybody who's run has had bad races. And when I was younger, I used to be very focused on time. Time used to be very much motivating to me, and I would set time goals for myself that maybe were great time goals on paper and maybe were fully justified based on the training that I'd done, but maybe I got sick a couple days before the race. Maybe I wasn't feeling well. Maybe I wasn't at my best, and I would still get out there and try to force myself to meet those time goals. And when you do that, it's not going to go well.
Sure.
And I remember having some races where at the end of the marathon, I was just beating myself up because I hadn't met my goals, and I was disappointed because I knew I'd put the training in, I'd put the work in, and that day I just didn't have it. I have a much different perspective about that now.
Sure.
And I try to impart that. You know, we got a lot of fast runners in the running club who a lot of them are doing their first marathons and they're setting goals. And I'm like, well, let me tell you about that. Setting time goals is great. That's a great motivator, but you're not going to know what's achievable that day until you get out there and you do it. I mean, I was the guy who would write, this was before smartphones and everything, but I would take a Sharpie and I would write my splits, my desired splits on my arm, and I would judge the success or failure of the run based on whether I met those splits. And as a result, I ended up sort of missing out on what could have been some really fun runs and beating myself up for no good reason over like an arbitrary time, over numbers on a clock that don't really mean anything. So I try to tell that to the younger runners now, without in any way diminishing the importance of those time goals, but just to say, hey, that's not everything. What's most important is you go up and you enjoy that experience.
Yeah.
Go up and enjoy that course, enjoy that race, enjoy those people, and make something good out of it, regardless of whether you exceed your goal, meet your goal, come well short of your goal. So those, when I think of runs that felt awful or runs where I came away with a really bad taste in my mouth, it was because I had set myself up for it by putting goals on myself that were unrealistic based on how I was feeling that day. So lessons learned.
Oh yeah, that's so good.
Big life lessons.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the fact that though you're also willing to share that with some, that's one of the things that I love about the running community is that, like I say, there's no secrets. Like if we find something that works for us, we want everybody to know because we want everybody to succeed. Yes, technically we compete, but I mean, I think one of the coolest things around a community is the biggest cheerleaders among each other. And one of the things, I had a conversation with a friend of mine recently, and she said, I'm trying to get out of the habit of asking people, how'd you do? It's really like, how do you feel after you cross that finish line? How you feeling, Kit?
Yes.
So if you're like, man, that was tough. Yeah, it was. Or, man, like I PR'd that. Hey, dude, that's awesome. Like, again, what you said, like, I love how you said that. Like, those numbers are just so, they're great, but they're also so minor and comparing to what you just went through.
Yes. And in my mind now, I tell this to younger runners. To me, there are two kinds of runs, and people in the running club are laughing now because they've heard me say this so much. There are two kinds of runs. There's runs that feel good and runs that don't.
Yeah.
And as long as it's a run that feels good, I could care less about the rest of it.
Oh, that's so good.
But it's been a journey to get my mind to that point, to where I really feel that and I believe that. And I don't run with a watch. I don't know what my splits are. I don't know how fast the last mile was, and I honestly don't care. Did it feel good? Is the next mile going to feel good? All right, then we're having a great run.
Kit, you're a naked runner. You're a naked runner, buddy.
That's what works for me. And
I love
at running
that.
club, people will ask all the time. We'll get to the finish and be like, I didn't bring my watch. What were our splits? What was our pace? I don't know. It felt good.
Yeah.
And I can guess because I know in general what certain paces feel like, and so I can probably guess within 15 or 20 seconds per mile of what it was, but I really don't care.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, that's so good. Oh, Kit, you're amazing. Obviously, you give a lot of advice in running club, which is so good. But you have, and as you said, you have different people that are super serious runners, and then you have those that are dabbling in running, or they're like, ooh, I want to. What is advice you give to new people that come to Run Club that you're like, I want to get into running, but...
The trick, I think, in my experience, the trick for people who are starting out is to go easy. Not to build up too fast. Build up in terms of distance, build up in terms of speed. I mean, you got to take it easy. You've got to be patient. I mean, your body will adjust. Your body will acclimate. Your body will get there. But you need to give it time. You need to give it time and have that patience. Running is a sport that rewards consistency. It rewards persistence. It rewards being in that routine and doing the same thing over and over again. It's not going to give you instant rewards within the first week.
Man, are you kidding me, Kit? Come on.
The first week, the first month, I mean, you're going to have a lot of runs that don't feel very good.
Yeah.
And it's just going to take a while for you to get in shape. So I preach that patience, and then I preach building up mileage very slowly, putting yourself in a position to succeed. All right, what's your goal? Is your goal that you want to be able to run a 5K in 3 months? Okay, that's a great goal. We can do that. We can get you from 0 to being in great shape for a 5K in 3 months. But if you're running 0 and your goal is to run a marathon in 3 months, no, I would say no. I would counsel against it. And there are people who just think, all right, now I'm going to run, so I'm signing up for a marathon. No, you got to take it easier than that. So I preach that kind of cautious, patient, slow approach to build up, and just be smart about it and come up with a plan. Come up with a plan and come up with a routine and slowly build up that mileage. When it comes to speed, I know a lot of runners, even new runners, who are very concerned about speed and time and all that, and that's great. But I always preach, don't worry about the time. The speed will come.
Yeah.
The speed will come. Worry about the distance. Get the distance to where you want, and then the speed will come after that. And it works. It really does. So that's the kind of advice I love to give to new runners.
Kit, I feel like we should rename you Jedi Kit. That's like Master Kit, you know, like, wow.
Well,
that's so good.
I've been doing this for a long time, and somehow now I have a platform where people want to listen to what I have to say.
Absolutely,
and I can help, and I can help, and I love to be able to.
And it's very genuine. That's what I love about you, is that it's so genuine, and you are authentic, and you care. You know, like that's just radiating off of you, and that's what's really cool.
Well, I do, and I love being able to do that.
Yeah. Do you have a mantra? Like, especially when you were running in Boston, and maybe there were days that you were like, I just want to give up. Like, I'm done. Is there something you tell yourself to keep going?
There have been different things at different times. There's no one in particular that I've always, well, actually, there is one. It's kind of silly. Anybody who sees my social media posts, I travel a lot. I travel a lot for concerts and things like that in my spare time. And whenever I get to wherever it is that I'm going, I'll usually take a selfie with some landmark or something of where I am behind me. And wherever it is that I am, and I came to rock.
Ooh,
and
okay.
So I will think about that when I'm running. When I'm running, if I'm having a bad day, if I'm not feeling so strong, I'll be like, no, forget that. I came to rock. I'm going to rock this run. And that works for me.
Okay.
I came to rock. It's very simple, but it works.
I like that. That is super fun. Okay. All right. We did talk about you dabbling into marathon again for Boston, but do you have any running goals for you personally?
Well, I have an immediate running goal, and by the time this comes out, we'll know whether I was able to meet it or not. As we are taping this, we are a little over a week away from the First Light Marathon.
Yeah, okay.
And the running club, at my encouragement, has organized a relay team.
Oh, fun.
And I was encouraging some of the faster guys in running club to set up this relay team. I wasn't necessarily encouraging them to have me be part of the team. So it's these 4 guys who are probably about half my age and really, really fast. And me, and I do all right in the old guy category, and when I was their age, I could definitely hang with them, but I can't really do it now. And they're talking about what their paces are going to be, and the relay is set up with 4 people doing a 5-mile leg each, and then the anchor leg is a 10K. It's a 6.2, and for some reason they're having the old slow guy do the 6.2 at the end. I'm like, y'all, you sure you want to do this? Like, no, it's the running club relay team. Of course it's got to be you. So I'm like, I don't do it. And so my immediate running goal is just to hold up my end of the deal and finish in a way that is worthy of them, because they are really talented, really gifted runners, and they could have had anybody that they wanted do that 5th leg of the marathon relay, and asked me, and I'm very honored that they asked me, and I want to not embarrass them. I want to do right by them, and I want to run strong. So that is one of the only runs where you will ever see me looking at what my splits are and caring about what my time is. And it's not for me; it's for them. It's for them.
So will you wear a watch that day?
I will wear a watch that day. I will wear a watch that day. I'll be looking at my splits. I may even wear a GPS that day. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
So that's the immediate running goal. But more generally, just at this point in my life, my running goal is to keep running. I had about a couple years ago with plantar fasciitis, as many people do, and it was coming on the heels of those 3,000 mile a year years that I was having, and that's too many. That was not healthy, and I paid a price for it because I got plantar fasciitis, and I've had a bunch of little injuries as a runner over the years. Like anybody who runs, you're going to have things that are nagging, and the solution most of the time is you just run through them. You run through them and they go away. I decided I was going to do that with plantar fasciitis. No, it doesn't work. And it got worse and worse, and the tears in the tissue got worse and worse, and I ended up having to basically be off my feet for 3 months. It got to where it would hurt to get up from my desk at the office and go to the printer. I'm like, all right, that's not good. And of course I'm stubborn, but I had 3 months of not being able to run, and I realized, I always knew how important running was to me, but I got to see what it was like to not have running for 3 months. So the goal is to do whatever I need to do to make sure I can keep running as long as possible, and to be running in a way where I feel strong, where I feel healthy, where I feel good. Again, 2 kinds of runs that feel good and runs that don't, and I want to have those runs that feel good for as long as I possibly can.
Oh, that's so good.
That's the goal.
Oh, so good. What's been your favorite length to run? Whether it's with running club, whether it's with a training run, whether it's race day. Is there a certain mileage that you're like, yes, I get to go run this?
I really love the half marathon distance. I've really gotten into
Of course you do, Kit.
Over the last few years, I've really gotten into that because, it's a challenge, but it's something that doesn't destroy you to do. It's something that, like, for me, I don't have to do anything extra training wise. Just I can be in my regular routine and be like, all right, I'm going to run a half marathon this weekend. And a lot of times I'll do it not as a race. I'll just wake up and be like, all right, let's do 13.1 this morning. It's a beautiful day out there. Let's just get out and go for it. And it's a distance where when I've done it, I have a real feeling of accomplishment, but I don't wipe myself out doing it.
Sure.
So I love that distance. And just for comparison's sake, like most days that I run, I'm doing between 8 and 10 miles. So that's kind of my standard run. And then like on running club days, I'll leave work a little early and do a few miles on my own fast before meeting up with the running club. So I call it the run before the run. And I reward myself with a beer in between the 2 runs. And then I'll do the 5K with them. But my favorite distance right now would be the half marathon.
Okay.
And I love some of these races that they're doing now with unconventional distances, where they'll do like an 8K or like the Battleship 12K. And
love that.
I've never done the Battleship run, but
what?
I've had scheduling issues. I've been out of town when it's happened, but people in the running club rave about it. They say
the best.
That's exactly what they say.
It's the best.
And it's 12K. When do you get to run a 12K?
Right, right. Across the Bayway, across whatever it is. Right. Like it's beautiful.
Yeah, everyone tells me that I must do that.
And the medals are top notch.
So I'm throwing down a marker right now. I will run the Battleship 12K this year.
Okay. Hey, 2025. There we go.
There's a goal. I need to get out there and do that one because everyone.
It's a good one. It's so fun. Yeah, it's such a patriotic one too. Like it's just so. I don't know, it just makes you proud to be a runner in America. Like, I know it's probably cliche and cheesy, but
No,
I don't know.
wonderful.
It's like, you see the battleship and you're just like, wow, this is our city. Like, this is what we get to do. And it's my favorite race. So I say the more the merrier. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll see you there.
There we go. I love that. When you aren't running, you talked about you like to rock out at concerts.
Yes.
What else fuels you? What else are you passionate about?
All right. Well, here's something. I work for the federal government. I work in the court system.
Wow. Okay.
I'm the clerk of court for the federal court in Mobile. So that means I'm the administrator for the court, all like the back of the house kind of stuff. And I'm very passionate about that because I get to do everything in my power to bring kind of justice and fairness and equality to this little corner of the universe.
Yeah.
And it's hard work. It is really hard work. We've got great people who are doing it every day, working really hard. It's very stressful. It's very challenging, but I am very passionate about it. I care very deeply about it. And it's a way where I feel like I get up every morning and I go and I make a difference. So that's a huge thing with me. So it's pretty much running and music and justice and beer, probably. I don't know. that pretty much sums me up right there.
Okay, do you have any final words of wisdom, my friend?
Wow, I don't know that I have any words of wisdom at all, but I've really enjoyed doing this. I am so grateful for the opportunity to appear on the podcast. I am thankful for this wonderful, amazing running community that we have. It is getting stronger and better year by year. It amazes me that 3.5 years into Running Club, we're still having new people. We had 2 people last night at Running Club who'd never been there before.
Wow.
And I'm like, how did you hear about us? And they don't even know, but they heard about us and here they are. So it is a growing community. And it's not just our Thursday night run at Braided River. There's one on Tuesday nights in Mobile. There's one on Wednesday across the bay at Mansees. There's a trail running group that goes on, I think it's Saturday mornings. They're all different running groups, and we're building community kind of all over the city and all over this area of Alabama. And it's bringing people together, and it's making people do things that they didn't think they could accomplish and have fun while they do it and make friends while they do it. A lot of my best friends in Mobile now are people that I know through the running community. So what a wonderful gift to have. And I would just encourage everybody who's listening to go take advantage of that gift and find that community. It doesn't have to be my running club. It doesn't have to be any running club, but find a community and find a running related community. It will pay such massive dividends, and it'll make you a better runner. It'll make you a better person. So if that's words of wisdom, that's what I got.
I love that. So if somebody wants to follow you on social media with the group, what's the name of the group?
All right, we are on Facebook. The name of the group is Downtown Runners United by Beer. So it's kind of a mouthful, but that's what Braided River wanted to call it because it kind of ties into their slogan, which is drawn to the Delta United by Beer. So it kind of ties in with them, and I didn't have a name, so all right, we'll go with that. But we have there are 800 and something people on it. I post on there multiple times a week. I encourage other members of the group to post about, not spam, but I want, if there are races going on that people want to encourage, or if somebody's doing a fundraising thing and using running as a fundraising thing, I encourage them to use that as a platform. And so again, it's another way of getting the word out. It's another way of adding to that community and building to that community. I don't think people need it to know what our schedule is because, as you've heard, I preach consistency. Every Thursday at 6, we are there. Every Thursday at 6, we are at Braided River in downtown Mobile. We are always running the same route. I get everybody together for the picture at 6:03 p.m. I'm a little OCD about it, but we are always going to do that. We are always going to run the same route. We miss Thanksgiving, and we miss one Thursday during Mardi Gras when it's not safe because there's a parade rolling.
Right. Yeah.
And other than that, rain, shine,
darkness,
cold, heat, humidity,
Halloween,
whatever. We are going to be out there doing it, and I would encourage everybody to join us. Newcomers are always welcome. We're a fun group. I do think we do a great job of making new folks feel welcome. So come be part of a community, or go find your own wherever it may be.
Absolutely. And you guys are also on the Run Your Story page where we have people can find the running community. And so the Downtown Beer, you guys are on there as well. That was one of the things I had reached out to you about. And I was like, at Run Your Story, we want to be able to have a place because not everybody knows how to search on social media. And so you guys are there as well. So
wonderful. Thank you so much
absolutely.
for that.
Yeah, of course. Kit, it has been such a pleasure. I've loved getting to know more about your story and just all that you're doing in the community. Thank you so much for that.
Well, this has literally been my highlight of 2025 so far. I know we're only 3 days in, but it definitely counts as a highlight. So thank you so much, Allison.
Absolutely.
I really, really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. what a motivational runner. Is Kit not just such a really cool dude? And I also want to say this. I am so proud of him and his group. I did not know that him and Clint, who has also been on the podcast, and their team, they, of course, got in #1 for Mobile Marathon Relay. But they are just such an encouraging spirit. Just absolutely love all those guys. And I appreciate that the elites of Mobile, they take time to share their stories. And so thank you again, Kat, for sitting down and sharing your story. And for what you're doing in the running community. You've created something beautiful, and we cannot wait to come out and run with you guys. I love the mentality of this running community from all over, from Louisiana to California to the Carolinas, where my race stats is. It's all about finding, everyone has a place, no matter your pace, no matter your distance. We all have somebody we can run with. We all have a place on the pavement. And that's what I love about the running community. It's absolutely incredible. And every runner, walker is welcomed. It's extraordinary and it's truly special. And what Kit has done is phenomenal. And so, Kit, keep doing what you're doing, my friend. Keep hitting the pavement. Keep doing extraordinary things, my friend, because you're an extraordinary individual. And speaking of extraordinary, go check out our 2 gyms, which is also the official gyms of Run Your Story. We love Spring Hill Boot Camp. We love pack training. Thank you, Josh and Natalie, for believing in Run Your Story. Thank you to the coaches who push us, who encourage us, who know that my first goal is running. But they've made it more than that. They have made me really love missing the gym. And I just get so excited when I get to go, even if it is super early in the morning. And that's what you want. You want that. And they do an extraordinary job. And oh man, just the running things that they've been doing, the exercises, it's been so fun. And they're doing things that are running specific. And I love it. We have a couple of things that we're gearing up for with them in that partnership, and we are stoked about that. So definitely go check out our friends at Spring Hill Boot Camp and at Pack Training, and make sure you tell them thank you. Say, hey man, thanks for supporting Run Your Story podcast, because we could not do this without our partners. They are helping us share your stories, and that's the most important thing. And we absolutely love that, and we're honored by that when a company says, yeah, we believe in you. Yeah, we believe in your stories. That's the best compliment there is. And that's why these partnerships are absolutely incredible. So thank you, Spring Hill Boot Camp and Pack Training. You guys are golden. And thank you for what you're doing, making us runners stronger, faster, allowing us to be on the pavement and do what we do. So I'm forever grateful for you guys. It is so much fun. So definitely join Spring Hill Boot Camp and Pack Training, and make sure to tell them thank you. So as always, Gilliard Tech Services, thank you so much, Gray, for giving of your time to pour into Run Your Story, from editing the podcast to updating our website. Guys, if you've not checked out our website, we are pumped. It looks so good. There's still more to come. We're still working on it, still ideas. And if you have any suggestions, let us know. Like if there's something that you want added to the website that you would like to see, just reach out to us. We love the feedback, and we want to know how we can make your experience with Run Your Story even better. So definitely check out Gilliard Tech Services for updating any website that you have, or if you are stuck and you need a new one and you're like, I don't even know where to begin, definitely check out Gilliard Tech Services. He loves to sit down with his clients and just loves to pick your brain. He doesn't always love it when I come with my list, but he gets excited because he's like, yes, there's going to be some creativity. And I tell him what I'm thinking, and he makes it happen. So thank you so much, Gilliard Tech Services. And again, he does such an extraordinary job, and I cannot wait for one day to be able to pay him. So thank you, Gilliard Tech Services. As always, Mars Hill, you give us such a safe place to be able to share our stories, even parts of our stories that are hard. And even when it's stories that are fun and lighthearted, still, you're being vulnerable. You're opening up about yourself. And so to be able to have a place, there's no interruptions, a place that's safe and secure, to have that at Mars Hill. Again, they believe in the running community. We believe in them. And so thank you to Mars Hill Church so much. Guys, make sure you like, share, and comment. Make sure that you tell people, maybe you have a favorite story that's on here. Maybe you want to reach out to somebody that you've heard their story and you don't know how to get in touch with them. I would love to be able to connect you. However we can help, that's what we want. We want to make those connections for you, or reach out to them and be like, hey, I heard you on Run Your Story podcast. So love that. And thank you to our Patreon supporters. They are our Patreon family members. We absolutely adore and love them. They are what keeping us going, because it costs money to put on a podcast, to put on a really good one. And so we've been able to make upgrades. We've been able to do things that we would have never thought possible if it wasn't for our Patreon supporters, and we would not have lasted 3 seasons. But it's because of these guys that love this podcast. So there's different tiers, guys. You can go to Writer Story website and there's a link for that as well, how to become a Patreon supporter. Different tiers get you different things, and we love being able to give back to our Patreon supporters in any way that we can. So, all right, guys, until next time, lace up those running shoes and go run your story, because every story needs to be heard.